Morning everybody, it's Dave here from Wing Chun Mind Force. Of one of my bus videos. They seem to be quite popular, so I'm keeping at it. Here in my beautiful northern New South Wales Australian town. You can hear the birdies tweeting out there. It's lovely and cool, and I'm under some big trees. I've told you I love trees. Today I wanted to talk about self-training, and the matter of trees is a good place to start because somewhere or other I was watching a kung fu documentary where the Chinese gentleman said that qi gathers under trees, and that's a good place to practice kung fu. And I can't see anything wrong with that. I agree with that. For me, qi is essentially just life, the energy of life. It's consciousness, but it's also a sort of an abstract thing, and it's something that we feel. It's something that generates real power and force, but it also does other things. It talks to us. Qi, if you think of it as your subconscious mind or your unconscious mind, it's something that can talk to you, not like a little voice in your head necessarily, more like just a sudden vision or an image or a feeling or a aha moment. So yeah, it's good to train under trees. Otherwise, it's good to find somewhere that's your sort of sacred space. I have everywhere I've ever lived since I've started Wing Chun, I've always had my little Dai Wei Kwun, just a place where I have all my books about Kung Fu, Bruce Lee, anything Wing Chun, which is not as easy to find. Good stuff. My dummy little items that are a bit kitschy but mean a lot to me, give me that Kung Fu feeling. And it's a place that's relatively quiet. I also love somewhere with nice fresh air, and if you find a space like that, it's much easier to put yourself into the meditative mood you need to practice Wing Chun by yourself. Now, even as an absolute beginner, you can practice by yourself and get great gains from it. The whole point of Sil Nim Dao is to meditate, to stop thinking with your conscious mind, this sort of frontal mind, and find the Nim Dao, find the present heart mind. That's the Chinese translation. It actually means mindfulness in English, but it's to find that other mind. And people sort of worry about, but I've got to practice fighting. Just this meditation is not going to help me in fighting. But the point of the meditation of Sil Nim Dao is not to enact fighting, it's to enact the state, make the state normal for you, something that you can just get into, like a switch. Just boom, you're in the Sil Nim Dao state, you're in the subconscious mind using state. And I often say to my students when I'm demonstrating reasonably effortless force, and I go into that state, I said, watch my eyes. You get like a 1,000-yard stare, like you got post-traumatic stress disorder up the wazoo. It's sort of like you go into a different mind state, and you can see that physically. When you go into that mindset deeply, also you can find a lack of verbal talking. Anyway, what I want to encourage you to do is to always train every day. And that doesn't mean that you've got to work out on the dummy or punch the bag, even though those things are really good, but put some time of your day aside to meditate on Wing Chun. And what I actually do is I do it constantly through the day. I'm always thinking about Wing Chun walking. I meditate on what normal walking's like, because that makes my kicks super powerful. when I reach for something, when I turn, twist my body, I think that's Wing Chun. That natural, effortless movement, that's what I want to do when I do Wing Chun. Which brings me to the point of Sifus. Now, a lot of you guys out there who follow my channel are isolated, and people often ask me, you know, what do I do if I can't find a Chu Shong Tin Sifu? Well, here's one here, me, a Chu Shong Tin lineage Sifu. Didn't train with Chu Shong Tin, but I trained with my master Sifu Jim Fung, who was one of his students since 1960, and with my Sifu's senior students who also trained with Sigong. And the difference between me standing right beside you and me talking to you through this glass box is just you can't smell my bad breath. I'm only kidding. I think my breath's okay. But too much is made of having to have somebody right there. But in an art like this, it's so much, it's internal, it's about energy, it's about consciousness. You can learn from me by listening. And I've tried my best over a couple of years of videos to demonstrate and to show you ways that you can train yourself without having to have somebody there. Of course, it's really great to have somebody there, but, you know, I've taught people I'm there and they still don't get it because they're not really listening deeply enough. They're not practicing by themselves. They're not really taking notes, which I always tell people to do, because the human mind is very fallible. And I'm sort of forgetful. I'm always interested in so many things that I sometimes forget stuff. And I write it down, and it's amazing when you write things down how it comes back to you and you go, wow, yeah, right on, you know. And I've got notebooks full of amazing stuff. Sometimes you just have revelations, personal revelations, while you're doing Sil Nim Dao or the other forms. And they're just gold. And you write them down. And being an artist, I also draw them. And then you got them forever, and your kids have got them forever, and whoever actually cares has got them forever. So make sure you do that. I know I harp on about this, but Sil Nim Dao is a mind state. It's a way of thinking. It's don't think, feel, right? That's what it is. It's hard to believe, but once you can deeply enter that state and really get this, then anything can be Wing Chun. Any movement you do can have an extraordinary power, because you're accessing the subconscious power of your body, like literally the stuff that digests your food, makes your heart beat, makes all that other stuff happening. And anybody who's doing this for a while and knows the feeling knows that I can sort of make a feeling rush through my body, out, in, sideways. I can feel my mind sort of flowing my body in different directions, up and down and sideways. It's all in the mind, but you actually feel it. So I'm not thinking, I'm feeling. I'm using that old-fashioned animal mind, which is very pure and direct. Just one last thing. I also know that there's a feeling amongst some practitioners that unless you train in Hong Kong, or unless you've been to Hong Kong, or especially if you didn't train directly with Sigong Chu, then you haven't got much hope of ever being any good. Now, with all respect to people who I really respect, who trained under Sigong, and of course respect to Sigong, this art is an art that can be passed on, and Sigong is not the only person that could tell you the truth, because all of his students faithfully passed on what he said and what he taught. And that's what I'm doing. I'm faithfully passing on those ideas I've received through his students. And you can be in India, Antarctica, Africa, South America, good old US of A, or me, living in the middle of the bush in Australia, and you can take these principles and you can make them their own, and you are Wing Chun. And it's bullshit to think that you can't get any good without Hong Kong, right? I've never been to Hong Kong, and it's not that I didn't want to go there, just having a family, all sorts of things got in the way of actually making that commitment of, quite a bit of money to go there. And really, any art that's just, you can only learn from that one place, that's very limited, and it's a limited view of what Wing Chun is. I know incredible artists. I learned at one of the best art schools in Australia, probably one of the best in the world. I'm proud of that training, yet I have met lots of dudes who taught themselves out of books and who are bloody good and probably better than me. And they're just smart guys who paid attention. They read the books. Somebody went to the trouble of talking to them the way I'm talking to you, said, this is how we think, this is what we do, this is how you hold your hand, this is how you hold your tongue. They looked at old masters, modern masters, they worked it out. You can do the same for Wing Chun. Don't give yourself any weak excuses. Oh, no, I'll never get it because I don't live in Hong Kong. I'm not training in Hong Kong. I'm not training with these particular people. That's a load of crap. So I'm just saying this to encourage you. I'd encourage you to go to Hong Kong if you can. And there's some fantastic practitioners and Sifus there to learn from. However, don't let the lack of Hong Kong get you down. I've achieved quite a high level in this art, and I've never been there. And for years I've been pretty much on my own, and that's just the thing I'll leave you with. People sometimes say to me, who do you train with now? And I say, well, me. There was a time I had Sifus and I soaked up everything they said. But then I got to the point where I was sort of like, I had more than enough, way too much actually. And this friend of mine who taught me a lot said, it's time for you to just teach yourself, Dave, work it out, just practice and work it out. And the forms and Chi Sao and these things teach you, and your Nim Dao teaches you. So that'll do. Okay, see you later, everybody. I'll have that. I've got an excerpt to the dummy I've got to make, and then I'll be moving on to the butterfly knives. Yoo-hoo.